1.21 gigawatts. Great God!
Shall we play a game?
Would you like a jelly baby?
Engage auto systems.
Aye. Engaged.
Clear all moorings.
Cleared, sir.
1/4 impulse power.
You know how to fly, don't you?
No. Do you?
You shall not pass!
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Down here, it's our time. It's our time down here.
The Force will be with you, always.
Greetings and welcome to the Geek Hangout podcast. My name is Mark, and I am joined tonight, as always, by my very good friend and co-host, Grant. How are you doing tonight, Grant?
Hey, Mark. I'm doing great. Welcome, everybody, to the episode 62 of the Geek Hangout podcast. Should have a nice show for you tonight. We'll do a little bit of catching up on what we've been up to and the usual Star Wars, Star Trek, Marvel, Stranger Things.
I was very excited to see that.
Yeah, me too. So lots of news to catch up on. I know we're gonna. We usually start out with what we've been up to, but
yeah. Well, you have. I say we forgo my what I've been up to because you have some really cool stuff that you have been doing since we last recorded. So why don't you tell us about your trip, your big trip? Okay.
So for spring break, the family and I went down to Universal Studios in Florida and also Hollywood Studios, and did it for spring break. So the big news for this podcast is I finally got myself the Galaxy's Edge. So in a nutshell,
what'd you think? Let's hear it.
In a nutshell, it was awesome. The land, Batu feels like an alien planet. I mean, there's all kinds of nooks and crannies, and I got so turned. I was looking at the map afterwards, and I'm like, it's really pretty basic. But I got so turned around in the land because there's just so much to look at, and I'm like, wait, we haven't been over here yet. Yes, we have. We've been down there already. I'm like, no, we have. And so there's so much to look at, so many neat little details, and I mean, they just did a fantastic job with everything. I was really, really impressed. So
what do you think?
Cool.
Like, what'd you think about when you finally, because it's like you said, it's sort of basic, but like, they have the Millennium Falcon sort of like tucked back there, right? Like,
yes.
and so it's kind of a cool. Like when you finally come around that corner and there it is, it's like, wow,
Right. So like, we're all rushing around. We're trying to get, we talked about this before the show. We're having problems with the app, and I thought we had paid for fast passes, but we did, but they weren't available. Anyway, so you're rushing around and you're kind of panicking, like, where's the rides and what am I like, so I come bumbling around the corner and all of a sudden the Millennium Falcon's right there. And it was just like, it was really cool.
Yeah.
You see videos of people getting all teary-eyed and stuff like that. And it was just like, it was really neat.
It sort of takes your breath away. It really does. Yeah. It's like, it's very impressive. It's very impressive.
Very much so. And I mean, and just, to sit there and like, just, just kind of take it in, it was, I really can't describe it. I mean, it's just as silly as it is, what I mean? It's ridiculous, but at the same time, it's like, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah.
And then, and then of course the Q Force Smugglers run, it kind of weaves you all around and you get to see all the different angles of the Falcon and all that. And that was really neat. They really did a nice job with it. It was really cool.
I mean, it's because it's like a lot of some of the Q, you're like actually walking underneath it,
right?
And it's, things are rusted, and it's just very, very cool.
Yeah, they did a really.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say they did a really good job with it.
One of the things I noticed, and I was all geeked out about it, and my family was like, "All right, Dad."
Yeah, right.
But like, on the cockpit. There's like a little, and it's all faded and stuff, but there's like a symbol in the cockpit, right? And like underneath, and that that say that we had a sticker on our Millennium Falcon. Now mine was always on top. I don't know if I put it in the wrong place or what.
No, it's on top. That's where it's supposed to go.
Okay.
But I didn't see it. I remember you saying that. I was looking, but I didn't see it. But I didn't
it's real faint. It's real faint,
okay.
and it's like, and when I saw it, I was like, that is very cool, you know.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah,
I know. It was just, like it's just fun to see it in real life too. Like, where they're looking and like in the back of the Falcon, there's like these fins that stick up off the back of the disc.
Yeah,
and like the toy has them, but they're very. And I'm looking at
they're very. They're like little bumps or whatever.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow, I had no idea those were that big, and it was just neat to see. It's like, you're looking at the quote real thing versus the toy and stuff. It was fun, it was neat. But yeah, so the queue was all fun. I was a little disappointed. So it's spring break. We got on the ride. They were really like, once you got into it, they really rushed us through the interior of the Falcon, because I was like, I wanted to try to get a picture at the holo table.
Yeah,
and then I was like teasing Lori. I'm like, there's the Han Solo and Princess Leia closet where maybe we can get a picture in there. And they're just like, come on. They're like, boom, 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 and before you know it, you're in the cockpit. Like, they just rushed us through. So we didn't get a chance to really even look at that. It was just sort of like, oh, that's neat, as they whisked you by. And I mean, I understood it was spring break and there was it was an insane asylum,
Yeah.
But but as for the ride itself, I really had a good time on the ride. I know you said you were a little disappointed with it, and I thought I was thinking about it afterwards, because we had a really great time. But so there's 6 seats, but there were 4 of us, and they just put 4 of us in the cockpit. So it was just my family in there.
Yeah.
Right. And so like, I'm Han Solo.
That's the way to go. That's the way
right.
to. It's awkward when they stick extra people in there.
And that's what I said to my family afterwards. I said, that was really fun. I had a really good time. I said, but I think I enjoyed it so much is because all 4 of us were in there together playing Star Wars.
Right.
Like, because I'm driving, so I was responsible for left and right, and Zoe, my one daughter, was a co-pilot, so she was responsible for up and down. But she, the how the XY axis or whatever they call it, so she was like trying to go up but push it, instead of pulling back, right. So we're like, I'm not hollering, but I'm hollering at her. I'm like, pull up, and my wife and Ava were in the back, and they're doing all the shooting. And I don't know what the engineers would have done if they were in there, but they were having it.
Yeah, they like. What did the engineers do? I think the engineers, like, how you're supposed to pick up the
you're like after
the boxes.
coaxium.
I think they shoot the cable to pick up the
I
box.
did see the cable. Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't have somebody in there, it just happens. But I think that's one of the things they do. They're supposed to, like, if something's, if the ship has taken damage, they can sort of repair it, or that kind of thing.
So it was funny. We only rode it the one time, so I don't know what the ride was supposed to be like. But like, at one point, like we landed on the ground, like crashed. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if this is good. But it was fun. We had a great time, and like, again, if it wasn't the 4 of us in there, if I was there by myself, it probably would have been, like you said, uncomfortable or awkward.
Yeah.
But if you're in there with a gang of your friends or your family or whatever, it was. I really enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. It was fun.
Yeah, I mean, we actually, when we went last year, we were able to get on because we went with my parents and stuff. So it was like the 6 of us were in there. We took up the whole cockpit, and so that was fun. So that was kind of cool. I think definitely the best position is pilot. The pilot's positions. Okay. Everything else is sort of like, it's okay, but it's the actions in the pilot's seat, and then reaching up and like pulling it in the.
I know. I forgot that part because I sat where Han Solo should sit, and then I forgot that Chewie gets to do that, and so then I'm like, oh, Zoe, and I told her to, I'm gonna pull that lever,
Yeah.
So, but it was fun. We had a great time. It was really, it was really neat.
How did you do? Like, when you came out of the cockpit, was there sparks and everything, and was it all messed up? And they were like,
no, our number was like, I want to say 32%. Is that Does that make sense? The numbers were showing up, and I just remember.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know what they mean.
I don't know what they were supposed to be. I don't think we did very good because we were bouncing off quite a bit. You know what I mean? Like I said, at one point we like crashed. And I'm like, I don't think we're supposed to be on the ground.
It's cool because like they're like if you do really bad, like you come out of the cockpit and like the lights are flashing and you hear sparks and there's like emergency crews and stuff like that. If you do, that doesn't, but that only happens if you do really bad. Like sometimes you come out and it's all.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Like I thought after the ride, I'm like, I don't think we did very good. But I remember that being part of the hallway thing, and I didn't notice that when we were leaving.
Yeah.
But then part of me was wondering, I'm like, I wonder if they're just not doing that because they're just trying to hustle people through. But
that could be too, right?
But I mean, that's probably just a switch. Like it's not. I mean, it's just like a light effects. It's nothing crazy, right?
No.
Yeah,
it's just it should really just light effects.
So maybe we didn't do as bad as I thought. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'll talk about the other ride in a minute. But the whole original premise of the park was like you have your data pad and you have your score and your like in-world adventure, and they're showing you all that stuff on the screen, and I'm just kind of like whatever, you know what I mean? Like,
that's a lot of the stuff that now is locked behind the Galactic Star Cruiser. Like,
right?
It from what I understand, it means more. Like if you do well in the Millennium Falcon ride, it means more if you're staying on the Galactic Star Cruiser. They've really abandoned it, all that kind of stuff for
the
regular
park.
guests.
Yeah, right. And I mean, I can't, I mean, on one hand, it sounded really, really cool, but like, right, if you're on this ride with a bunch of strangers, you're going to get mad if someone's not taking it serious.
Right.
If you're actually trying to do something. So,
right.
The numbers were funny or what, I didn't pay attention. You know what I mean? I'm just like, okay, whatever. We had fun.
I mean, I think it's still like if you do the data pad stuff, because Nick likes to do that stuff.
Yeah.
My son. If you do the data pad stuff, like your score reflects in there.
Okay.
But
all right.
I don't know that it does anything. You know what I'm saying? It's there, but it doesn't. I don't know that it matters.
Yeah.
Right?
We were like, we were kind of bouncing around, but we were waiting in line for a while for the Rise of Resistance. And I'm like, let me download the app. And I started to try to download I guess it's Disney Play is what it's called. And I was trying to download that. And then it wanted all this information. And like, I'm just like, no, I'm not bothering with this. I'm like, no, it didn't seem like there's like a few like QR codes in line that you could scan.
Yeah, and that's essentially like you can walk around. There's certain things you can do. Like if you scan something and then it'll like on your phone it'll tell you hit the buttons in this sequence, and if you hit the buttons in that sequence, something may happen nearby, right?
Okay,
like that kind of stuff. So it's sort of like it's not really a lot different from they used to have that Phineas and Ferb thing over at Epcot where you could it was basically like a scavenger hunt. You could go around, and if you did something on your phone, something would happen in World Showcase, right? And it's Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom over at Magic Kingdom. That was they've taken that out, but it was the same sort of same idea,
Okay, right. So that's interesting then. Okay, yeah. I mean, it would be fun, just if it was just me there for the day, it'd be fun to go around and maybe play around and do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But like I said, I was, I'm in line and I'm like, at that point, I'm like,
right.
They just wanted too much information from me. I'm like, I just download the app,
Yeah. I mean, the cool thing about Disney Play is like, if you're over in the Magic Kingdom, like in standing in line, like there's like little games and stuff you can play.
I did see some kids.
That's right.
When we were waiting,
while you're standing in line.
I think I saw them doing the QR code, but I saw some kids playing video games and I'm like, oh, that's right. There's that whole app.
So, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So anyway, so we did Smuggler's Run, and then we finally got on Rise of Resistance.
Okay.
And that was a bit of a nightmare, just in terms of, again, the app and the scheduling and all that. And the time was listed at like 215 minutes for most of the day. And by dumb luck, we were literally going to leave, and we turned and it said 100 minutes, and we ran and got in line real fast.
Okay.
So the queue for that's a bit much. You know what I mean? There's a lot of winding and all that, but once you get on the ride, man, that was awesome.
It really is.
That's like, I mean, that's a true, that's a state of the art, obviously state of the art, but that is, I would say the best ride in terms of, I mean, what really blew my mind, and spoiler alert if you haven't been on the ride yet, but like, at one point you're in the queue and you go through like a little pre-show with Poe and BB-8, right? And Ray, I think, shows up, and then you kind of come and you're in these like fake caves, and then you come outside and you kind of work your way outside past Poe's X-Wing, and then you get on the shuttle, and the shuttle's right there outside. So you all load in the shuttle, and you're there, and you're like launching into space on the mission for the Resistance, and not Admiral Akbar, but somebody that looks very, very similar to Admiral Akbar is up front talking to you, and you're captured by the First Order, right? Well, while this is going on, I happen to glance around and I see what looks like on the other side. I'm like, oh, that door is probably going to open, and we're probably going to go out on that side.
Yeah.
Right. Well, as soon as we get captured, the door we came in that should have led outside opens up, and you're on a Star Destroyer. Yeah. And that absolutely, I don't know why, blew my mind. Right. I mean, I didn't expect that door to open. I didn't realize as we were, on our mission that our cart was moving somewhere, that, I didn't realize anything was going on. And I usually try to operate on 2 levels. I'm like, I really enjoy the ride, but I'm always like, well, how's this working? What's going on over there? Right. I always like to try to figure things out. And that just caught me so off guard. And I was just, my jaw just hit the floor. I was like, what?
Yeah, so, that is, when you walk out into that Star Destroyer hangar, that's way impressive. I mean, it's like, wow.
Yeah, I was amazed. And then I was like, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, can we get some pictures? I don't know what's going on here. But then the First Order officer was yelling at us to basically move, hustle. Right. So then, we all ran down the one hallway to get where we needed to go and stuff. So again, didn't get pictures in there, but it was really impressive. And then the ride, it's, so then you go through, what's the rest? You go through, the First Order people were in character because they were asking my one daughter, she had a pair of Crocs on, and they're like, what's that on your feet? They're basically harassing her. And it was funny, and then they put you in the interrogation room, and then the rebellion breaks you out, or the Resistance breaks you out, and you get your cart finally and start driving around. And
were you really expecting that when the thing sort of explodes and
it did.
You're in the cell, and it's sort of.
I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I did it. I'm like, all right, we're probably going to get rescued here, in this room, because I knew Finn was on board the ship somewhere because they had mentioned that earlier. So I'm like, all right, I bet you Finn's going to get us out of here. And then, when the thing happened, I was like, I guess I was surprised by that, but I, not so much. I was just surprised that the wall of the thing went out like the way it did, then you get in your cart and you're driving around, and I mean, again, the animatronics were great. The video with the actors and all that was great. I mean, of course you're on the run and you go into that room with the AT-ATs, another jaw-dropping moment when you roll it, you roll in there and it's like, oh my God.
Those things are really big. Yeah.
Right. And that was really cool. Then they start shooting at you and all that stuff. And then the other thing that really, really got me was like, when Kylo Ren's he's up here at one point, and I guess he's chasing you, and I guess your cart's in an elevator, but he lands on the roof of the elevator. Yeah. And when his lightsaber comes down through it, that was crazy. I knew at one point his lightsaber came down through the ceiling. I wasn't sure when it happened or how it was happening, and just the way it happened, that was very I kind of expected it to be very much like your cart goes in, you stop, the lightsaber comes down. I didn't expect it to be like that while you're actually in motion, and so that was very exciting. That was very impressive, I thought.
Yeah, and that's what it that ride is so frantic, right? It's like it really does feel like you're because you're moving and you're moving at a pretty good clip, and it's just really impressive, and because it's that what do they call that technology?
The trackless system,
right?
Yeah.
It's trackless. So
I'm looking at the floor and I was like, oh yeah, there's no track here. This is fun.
Right. So it's like you can have a different story depending on which way.
Yes.
I mean, generally, all the major beats everybody gets, but there's depending on what car you're in, you may see something a little different than another car, and it's just pretty neat.
when we went out, I know if when you go into the room with the AT-ATs, there's two of them. We went in front of the one on the left, but the other cart I noticed going over towards the one on the right.
Yeah.
So that must be a separate thing over there too, or something like that.
Yeah, because I think the first time I rode it, I don't think I saw Finn.
Oh,
right,
okay.
you know how he's like hiding behind the
crates.
Spoiler alert! He's hiding behind crates, and I think the first time I didn't notice him,
right,
because so much was going on, or we didn't see him because we went a different direction. I don't remember.
Okay, yeah. I know.
Yeah.
So that was fun though. And then, then of course you come to the very end and, you're in front of a big digital screen, the space battle's happening. And then across the way, you see a Nine Nub come out in his little pod and he loads in, and you're like, hey, it's my man Nine Nub. And then you see him drop and I'm like, oh, we're going to drop, and then the drop wasn't bad, but it was fun for there was enough to make everybody scream, just, oh, we're fun. So
yeah, that's a cool ride.
It was really cool. And talk about you felt like you felt like you're in the movie. I mean, you were in the middle of it all, and it was it was really cool. Very, very well done. I'm glad we waited. I don't know about 2 hours and 215 minutes, but I'm glad we waited. We were able to get.
Yeah, it was worth it.
Happy,
yeah.
So.
But the issue with it is that apparently that ride goes down frequently.
Yeah.
Several at least once a day it's down.
When we were that was so Smuggler's Run, we got lucky and got on right away. And then we were walking around doing some other stuff and we hit the cantina, and I'll talk to you about that. Right. So all day I kept looking at the app and 215 minutes, boom, and then down. And you're like, oh, and then it's back up and then down.
Yeah.
So I don't know what keeps breaking on the ride, but
I mean, I think it sounds like, as cool as the trackless technology is, I think my understanding is there's a lot of problems with it. And then also there's a lot of animatronics on that ride, and sometimes they have there's an animatronic of Kylo Ren where he's standing in front of you, and it's one of those really, I forget what it's one of the super crazy animatronics that look like a real human being.
Yeah,
right?
You're right. You're sitting there, you're like, is that an actor? Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think they tend to have issues, but they have that set up so that if that goes down for some reason, they can actually roll it out, and so you see something on the screen instead.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So sometimes I think that's never been an issue. I think it's always been the animatronic for me, but I've heard other people say, they just roll it out.
Right.
If it's not working.
Wheel them out.
Yeah.
Well, that's smart though. That way,
right.
That way not the whole, you don't have some dead robot up there. You just wheel it out and you keep the ride going. And like you said, if they maybe have a projection thing they can do, and because they have that other technology where it's and luckily it's Star Wars, so it could always be a hologram, or they have the thing where they project and it's the actor or that, Yeah. So what was I going to say then? The other thing.
Oga's.
Yeah. So Oga's Cantina. So all week long, trying to get a reservation for that. Right. Good. We got one, but it was at 8:55 in the morning. Right.
Oh my God.
So we're I was trying all week, I was happy to get the one. I was trying to make it at a more appropriate time, Sure enough, 8:55, we're belly up to the butt.
Right, you got it.
Right.
Whatever works, right?
Right. So we're in there and we're like, well, whatever, let's have fun. So I got 2 drinks. Lori ended up getting 2 drinks. I think the kids each got, the kids either got 1 or 2 drinks each. And then we ordered the food. There's only 2 things on the menu, and it's you could order that. So we're having our little party here in the cantina. I mean, first of all, the cantina is so well done. It is. I mean, you've been in there, right?
Yeah. We finally got in the last summer.
Okay, right. So it's well done. You got Rex over there playing music and jibber jabber, and our bartender was he was really good because he was in character to a point.
Yeah.
But really, he was just messing with us. You know what I mean? He was just having fun with us, and he kept messing with my one daughter. She ordered some. One of the drinks was Jabba juice or Jabba something, and before we give it to her, he made her say Jabba Jabba. Right? And of course, she was being shy and she didn't want to say it. And it was funny. He was really good. And then my wife ordered I think it's a tauntaun spread or tauntaun. I don't know, like a fuzzy navel or whatever.
Right.
But instead of saying tauntaun, she says teen, and
Yeah.
then he just started riding her about that. So it was
Who
just
would?
fun. Right. But it was fun. So he did a good job, and the drinks were crazy. Like I got some. Here, I got my.
I got that. Yeah, I got that. One.
Yeah, right. I got that drink, which was awesome, and I got my souvenir mug, and then Lori got one. She got the one tauntaun one, but like the froth on top was like it was like a frothy sweet tart. So you drink it, and you taste the drink, but then afterwards your tongue was like tingling from like the sweet tart thing. That was really fun. And then we ordered the carbon freeze because we kept seeing those go out, and so they're glasses. And you can't actually put it in your mouth, but in the bottom, I think it's like dry ice.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. Right.
And so it's making everything bubble inside the drink the whole time. And there's like those little like ball things that are like,
the little boba balls or whatever they are.
Yeah, right. And so we got those and we were drinking those. It was a lot of fun. I was really, afterwards we were saying how much we're so happy we made the reservation and got in there just because we had such a blast.
Yeah.
And even the food comes out, and the one thing was like a little bowl of, it was like crackers and like dried vegetables, and like these one things had the consistencies of those mints you used to get that would kind of dissolve in your mouth and they have like a chewy center. But they weren't minty though. It was like a different flavor, like a little sweet, a little not, and then there was a little tomato sauce thing to dip it in. And that was fun to try and eat. And the other thing was like a meat and cheese board, but it looked alien. You know what I mean? So like there was like the meats were like just the ones like it was basically like it almost reminded me of like bologna, but like it was cut to look like a meat in a certain way. And there's different cheeses. The one thing it was actually really good, but it ended up killing me with heartburn. But it was a Slim Jim, but it wasn't a standard Slim Jim. It actually looked alienish. But when you bite into it, you're like, oh, this is a Slim Jim.
Yeah.
But it was silly, but it was fun. We had a great time. We had a really good time with that, And
we didn't try any of the food while we were there.
The only reason we did it is because it was so early. We're like, I guess we should probably eat something while we're here as we're throwing back, our drinks.
But but the place is tiny, right? Like I don't understand.
Right.
I'll never understand why they made that place that size.
They should have. I mean, that thing should be 3-4 times the size.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, especially if I was a local, or if I would go in there and hang out. You know what I mean? Like it'd be a great place to go hang out and have. I think our window was like 40 minutes. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I would totally go in there and hang out with my friends, or like I don't know. I mean, I would have eaten lunch in there, or I would have eaten, like if they served food, we would have probably had breakfast in there, because why not? You're in the, you know what I mean? That
is one of the biggest missed opportunities in that whole place. I just don't understand that at all.
It's crazy. I mean, it really makes you wonder, right? Who, like for as good as they did with all that stuff, like who didn't think like, oh, people are going to want to come to the cantina. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know, that I would never, will never understand that.
Yeah.
Or you think that if anything, they'd be maybe they like, cause wasn't in Florida, wasn't Galaxy's Edge the first place to serve liquor? Is that right? Or am I thinking of California?
California. It was the first time they started serving alcohol in Disneyland because of Galaxy's Edge, as I understand.
Okay. All right. So that's the only thing I could possibly think of, was that maybe they made it small because they were afraid they weren't going to be able to have a liquor license or something like that.
I think they don't want you hanging out. I think that's part of it. I think they want you to come in, they want you to get your drink, and then they want you on your way. I think that's what they want.
I guess, right. And I guess too, right. I mean, it is alcohol, so they don't want you, for two reasons. They don't want you hanging out there all day. Excuse me, in general.
Yeah.
But they don't need a bunch of 50-year-old men in there getting trashed either.
Right, like going out.
Where were you out of the canteen all day?
That's true.
Yeah.
We
but it was fun. It was really fun. Very well done. I really I was gonna say we really had a nice time.
Yeah, now did you we've been there twice now. And I have yet to see it at night. It's supposed to be really cool at night, and I haven't been there at night yet.
Yeah. No.
So you guys didn't go? Okay.
No. I would be curious to see that at nighttime because I was just like, yeah, I wonder how like lit up it looks, and
It's supposed to look really cool.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. So I really have to, next time we go, I really have to try to get
Well,
there.
what's funny though, now that you're saying it, I think I don't know why, but I thought the park closed no, I guess it was open until 9. I was thinking it closed earlier than it did.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, we had dinner reservations at Disney Springs at, I think it was like 6:30 or something like that. So once we got done on everything, then we did walk around the rest of Hollywood Studios and check out some other stuff and all that, but so we didn't stick around for the night. And I don't think, if I remember, it's not like there's a nighttime show or anything anymore over there. Like
it's not back yet. Or I don't think so. It's Fantasmic, but it's not back yet, I don't think.
Yeah, so we figured we just went over and grabbed dinner over there. So
cool.
But yeah, it was fun. I mean, as for the rest of Hollywood Studios, just briefly, like, Toy Story Land was a lot of fun. We didn't get on Slinky Dog because that sold out right away.
Okay.
Well, we've kind of poked around, and it was just fun to walk through there. I mean, my kids are older now, so nobody was that interested, but it was still fun to just kind of walk through and be like, oh, this is really well done.
Yeah.
We did get to go on Star Tours. My one daughter and I ran over and jumped on there really fast, and that was fun because it was the I know the movies in there can change every time, and it was the new ones. So like they had like Poe and Ray and all them were actually part of the Star Tours ride, and it was neat because we were going to Galaxy's Edge that day. It tied it into all that stuff too. The newer stuff,
right?
Which was, I mean, 3PO was still there and R2 and all that, but it was neat to see that. And I was like, oh, and then I started thinking, like, wonder why they didn't try to incorporate this into Galaxy's Edge.
That's still, I think it's too much trouble it was too far away.
Yeah.
Like there was, I think at one time they were talking about butting up against it, and then for whatever reason that plan went away. But it's still, I'm glad they still have it. I wonder if at some point it's going to go away or become something else. But I'm glad they still have it, because that's where you go to get the, because in Galaxy's Edge you can only buy like stuff in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of weird, but it's nice it's the Star Tours gift shop is where you go to buy your Star Wars figures and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was disappointed. They used to have at in Galaxy's Edge, or in Star Tours, used to be able to build like these little build-a-droids.
Yeah.
And so I didn't realize it, but they did away with that now. You can't go build them yourself. You have to go build the $100 ones over in Galaxy's Edge. But I did ask the girl that was there. I'm like, I said, oh, you can't do that anymore. She's, oh no, they've been gone for a little while, and they sell like box sets of them now that you buy them that way and stuff. But I was surprised. I was surprised, but then I thought, I'm like, well, I'm not really surprised, because they obviously want you to go down to the Droid Depot and build your own stuff down there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Now, I didn't do the Droid Depot or the lightsaber thing. The Droid Depot, I did go in and look around. We saw all that, and that looked really cool and stuff.
Yeah, there's some neat stuff there.
Yeah. Matter of fact, that's where this guy came from. I got like a box set of all the. So outside the Droid Depot, there's like, I guess, like 5 robots that are out there. There's like there's like a R1 unit, and then like a power droid, and this guy from Force Awakens.
Right.
Yeah. They're outside on display, but inside there's a box so you can buy all the figures. I'm like, oh, I'll buy that. That looks cool.
Yeah, they had some cool stuff in there.
Yeah.
I was going to get you something for your birthday there.
Oh.
That I was like, that's really cool, and then we never got back, and I kept thinking, oh, I'll find it somewhere else, and I never saw it anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. What else? Oh, and then we went into I didn't like, so you didn't do the lightsaber thing either, but like
no.
we went into Doc Ondar's
shop,
you
right.
And I guess through the shop you can go to build your lightsaber.
I don't know how that all works, but yeah,
it was, that's because when we went up to go in, they're like, are you here to build a lightsaber? I said, no, I just want to go to see Doc Ondar, and so they're like, oh, go ahead on in. But I guess if you were there for the lightsabers, you gotten a
there might be a different there might be a different door or an entrance. I don't know. It's underneath, I think.
That would make sense. But in the shop, though, there's like a register or like an area over here, and they have all the hilts and stuff there. So I don't know if people were picking hilts out there, or if they were just buying the lightsabers already made over there.
You can buy the hilts that are sold in the case, I think, are
Right.
from the movie,
Oh,
right?
I see.
Or from the movies. Like you can buy, like you can get Darth Vader's lightsaber, you can get Obi-Wan's
Okay.
lightsaber, but you're only buying, but you only buy the hilt,
Okay.
and then you have to, if you want the blade is like a separate price.
Okay.
Whereas
All
if
right.
you go and build your own, you can build whatever you want, and then I think the blade comes with it, or
I
but
see, yeah.
that's a $200.
Right.
So in the
yeah.
end, it probably all washes out. It's probably $200 for
Okay.
both. In the
Yeah.
end, if you want everything. But
Yeah. So that shop was, I mean, the shop itself was, the merchandise was, there's like, it seems like higher end, like there's some clothing and the lightsabers and all that was in there, which was, it was neat to look at. But the shop itself was cool, looking at all the Easter eggs that were all on the, the walls. They had like a baby Sarlacc pit over on the one side. I saw him, and there's, I forget what else was in there, but it was neat. It was fun to see all that stuff.
Yeah, they have some neat stuff in there, and that's where they have the holocrons, and you can do different things with those. Those are kind of cool. My son has a couple of holocrons, I think.
Okay.
It's. I mean, they have some neat stuff. Like I don't love the merchandise in there. I think they sort of, like in the whole of Galaxy's Edge. I don't think the merchandise is great in the entirety of Galaxy's Edge.
I thought it was interesting, right? Because like the little marketplace area where you just you walk kind of back and forth between all the shops. That's where everything had that like homemade it was supposed to be in universe.
Yeah.
But even as we're going through there, you can see things were starting to get tucked in that were not in universe.
Yeah.
Which is good though, because the in universe stuff, while really neat ish, I'm like, well, I'm not buying that. Like it's like a ragdoll made to look like various characters. And I'm like that. Okay. Like it didn't do much for me. You know what I mean?
I have not bought any merchandise from Galaxy's Edge. I haven't.
Okay.
I don't own anything from Galaxy's Edge. And it's primarily I mean, hey, I go to Disney. I always come back with some T-shirts, mugs, and I always come back with something. But I walk around Galaxy's Edge, and I'm just like, nothing really moves me.
Right.
Now,
I mean,
my son has bought several things, but I just there's nothing I see that I really want to pick up.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I got, I mean, maybe it's because an action figure guy, but I bought the action figures, what I mean? But there wasn't anything else that was like, I'm like, oh man, that's really cool. Or, oh, I gotta have that,
Yeah.
So
last summer I ran around and I bought all those Mandalorian.
Oh, the retro
vintage,
figures, right?
The retro Mandalorian figures, but they don't sell them there. I had to go elsewhere to get them.
Yeah, right. They were right. They're probably all over at Star Tours, like you said, right? Yeah. I mean, it's a toss up because you're like, it's like, all right, in the universe, cool stuff. Yeah, like I think. Yeah, I think like you said, I think you'll start to see a lot of that stuff phase out, and more other stuff coming in.
I think they, and I really like Galaxy's Edge. I really do. I mean, it's really cool to walk through there. And like I said, the Millennium Falcon is amazing.
Yeah.
The rides are good, are really good. But I just, it's that stuff. Like it's just, I think they've tied their hands, and I don't know why.
Right.
I just don't. Disney went out and they bought Star Wars for what was it, $6 billion or $5 billion, some ridiculous amount of money, right?
Uh-huh.
And then they built these lands in their parks, and they can't use the most iconic characters from this story that they bought
in
the park because of the way they build it. I don't understand. I'm like, what were you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, they the designer, they went nuts with it, and on one hand you're like, good for you, that's great, push the boundaries, but on the flip side you're like, wait a second here, like you said, like where's Darth Vader,
Vader, right? People, like who doesn't want to, right? Or Darth Maul,
or even now it's like, where's the Mandalorian, where's Baby Yoda,
right?
Like, what I mean? Like they, even if you didn't want to go, for whatever reason, if you were trying to appeal more towards the kids or the current media, but they've locked their hands, and now it's like, well, you should have the Mandalorian in here running all over the place.
And it's like, look, I whether you love the sequels or you hate them, I think it's fair to say that like none of the characters that came out of the sequels are really iconic. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe Kylo Ren, maybe.
Right. I would say, I would say he is, out of everybody. I think that's why that Rise of the Resistance ride is good, because he's the bad, you know what I mean? But like, the other ones are I don't know, maybe for kids, maybe they are, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe, our parents may have watched the originals and been like, whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
that's true. Right.
Aside from the effects type of thing. But, like it's like, well, I mean, why tie your hands like that? And I bet you, and like you said, I bet you they'll start
it's going to change.
Yeah, they'll start picking at it here and there, there, and also before you know it, Mando will be walking around and there'll be a parade through the town or something. So, but anyway, so that's pretty much it for our thing.
Did you see any? I'm just curious. Did you see any of the Galactic Star Cruiser people? Was there? Do you know if there was a cruise?
Yes, we saw. It was weird because we were coming around the one thing one day and they were coming out of like some back room area. And at first I thought they were cast members because they were actually like they were dressed and had Starliner stuff on it. But then later in the day I saw them doing stuff that, vacation people would do.
Right.
But they were dressed up like they were, all coming from the Starliner. I think they had somebody,
because there's like a tunnel where they go from the hotel, the Star Cruiser to it's like a tunnel that takes them from the Star Cruiser to Batu.
So maybe that's where I saw them coming out of then.
And it's just a real basic, like it's just a cement, like it doesn't look real impressive from what I've seen. It's just a cement.
That's exactly where they came out of then. Because it almost looked like, I said, I thought they were cast members at first.
Okay.
Because it did vary wherever they were. The thing was actually kind of big where they were coming out of, but they just kind of came out this little side door and we're walking up. So I'm like, oh, okay. And then as I got closer, I'm like, oh wait, that's the Starliner logo and stuff. And and then later when I saw them, they were just doing what everybody else was doing. They were just enjoying the day.
Right.
But I did laugh because of what we said about like they spent all that money to be on the Star Cruiser, which is fine. But then I'm like, then they're dumped out with us yahoos,
right? Walking around with like a guy with a Pepsi T-shirt,
right? Right. And I mean, I almost felt bad for them to an extent because they were in costume and they were into it. And then you're just like you said, they get dumped out with everybody else, and it's kind of like I'm there. I have my big Star Wars T-shirt on it, and it's like I wouldn't be wearing that in the universe. Like it's just
I would think that for the money they're paying, that they would try to give them some kind of like put them out there, but then they have to get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning and go out there before the park opens, and they don't want to do that. So it is what it is. But now
I can't remember if I saw anybody in line.
They get
I would hope they would.
Yeah, they get a fast pass for all those rides.
So I would hope they would have like ultra fast pass.
Yeah, and I don't. It's not even like the thing you've got to get. Like they just show them the Halcyon thing and they let them on. I think.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So that would be good then for that.
Yeah.
So, the other thing to talk about just really quickly is the other days, we spent over Hollywood Studios at Universal.
Oh, right.
And, that was a lot of fun. We stayed on property and they have their fast pass system over there, which you get, I guess, when you stay at the hotel or you pay extra for whatever, but it was wonderful. It was easy. There wasn't nowhere near the hassle of the Disney Genie app and all that crap. But we did Harry Potter. Now, I saw the movies. I liked Harry Potter, but my kids really liked it. And they were saying how impressed they were with everything over there. They're like, this is great. And even for me, I mean, I was like, this is great. They did a really good job. I see why Disney sat up and took notice after they put that world in. I know that's when Disney started paying attention, and rightfully so, because they did a very good job.
It really is. It's very it's impressive.
Yeah.
And did you try butterbeer?
I did.
Because the butterbeer is outstanding.
Now we had a different experience. So
oh really?
We had Lori got hot butterbeer.
Oh,
the girls got frozen butterbeer, and then I got a regular butterbeer.
Okay.
And so I ended up not liking the regular butterbeer.
Okay.
The girls liked their frozen one, and then I switched with Lori, and I was drinking the hot one, and I actually really liked the hot butterbeer.
I think I've only gotten the frozen one.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I've definitely never had the hot one. I think I've always gotten the frozen.
It was actually funny because here we're in Florida, but the one morning we were there, it was a little chilly, and so I was like, "Oh, I'll take the hot one."
Yeah,
but it was good. I liked it.
Did you? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, but we did try over in we did try the blue milk and the green milk, and the blue milk by far is better than the green.
Yeah. Definitely.
And then I think Bridget texted Lori, and so I took her advice. And I've had them put rum in my blue milk.
It's okay. I mean, I don't love it, but it's not bad.
I liked the blue milk. I liked. I mean, it may have helped with the rum, but then later in the day, Ava said, "Oh, let's get a green one," and we tried that later in the day. And that one I didn't care for.
Yeah,
that one
blue is definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
So, but I really like compared to butterbeer. Like I'll take butterbeer any day over the blue or green milk.
Yeah, I forgot at Galaxy's Edge we did after the cantina. We came out and we had our little snacks, but we were actually hungry, so we went to Ronto Roasters and ate over there for breakfast and stuff.
And the food's good there,
and that was really good. Yeah, it was fun because
it
was like, I got a really big kick out of the stuff. It's like I mean, it's eggs on a thing or whatever, but it's like it's edible, it tastes good, but it's like alien. I got a big kick out of that. I really had fun. Like Lori got like
Ronto Roasters the one with the droid and the pod.
Yeah,
all right, that's not I mean, that place is okay too, but like we ate the other one,
Cargo Base,
yeah, and that is quite good. The food there is quite good.
Okay, I'll have to try that next time. I knew I wanted to go in and see 8 doing the roaster thing, but we went over there and they had breakfast. Like, so they have sandwiches and like they have basically a breakfast and then a lunch version. But it was still early, so it had egg in it and the sausage and all that. And but it was really good and stuff. And like Lori got some kind of like oatmeal, but it was like dyed like it was like blueberry or so. It was fun. It was as silly as it was. I'm like, this is fun.
I hear you.
I know, right? So anyway, so that's stuff. That's my adventure. I finally got myself down there.
Good. We still have to go down together.
I would like that. I think that'd be fun to do. Just go down and just play around. It'd be a lot of fun.
Yes, definitely.
So, all right. So that's good. So that about wraps up. That wraps up me up. So we got next year.
Well, since we're talking about Star Wars, should we finish talking? I mean, we're talking Galaxy's Edge, so we'll just go into our Star Wars stuff.
Okay.
And this is really this was what I was going to talk about for what I've been up to the last couple, because Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga came out in over the last couple of weeks at some point, and my son and I have been playing it, and this is a fun game. It's a cool game, and we've really been enjoying it. Like so they have all 9 movies, and you have to play through them all, and then it unlocks things, and then there's an open world component to it, and you can just run around and like do missions and stuff like that. So I love these games. I really do. Now we've played through the prequel and the original series, and we now we have to play through Force Awakens and everything. So but it's just, these are fun games, and like I think they really did a nice job on this. I mean, this has been delayed.
Oh, I know. Right?
I mean, we pre-ordered this thing. I mean, it was like 2 years ago we pre-ordered it, and then it kept getting delayed, and then COVID. So, but they really did a nice job with it, and it's a lot of fun. Like, I mean, and I always say this is how Nick got introduced to the Star Wars series, because he and I used to play the original on the Wii back in the day, and so and he was little, like I think he was like 3, so he was too young to like watch the movies or anything yet. But we played through these games, so that like by the time he was old enough, like he knew all the characters, he knew all the ships, he knew, it was cool. And these are just they're a lot of fun to play, so I've really been enjoying it.
They've always done a nice job with these. These are, because I did the same we played the Lego Batman game with my kids, and I think I remember we played the Force Awakens one, because they didn't do it for the other movies. They just did Force Awakens. Right?
Yeah, they did Force Awakens, and they added some new stuff to that, and then it looked like they were going to release one for every movie, and then at some point that got scrapped, and they just decided to do all three in one, I guess.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Um,
But so
But-
yeah, I did see that this came out, and I saw a lot of people say, basically saying what you're saying, like how what a good job it is, and I guess it was worth the wait. I would love to know, behind the scenes, like wonder what the delay was, but
yeah, I wonder if we'll ever get that story. I mean, I think part of it is because there's a lot of content to it, so it's cool because like as you play through, you unlock characters, and they have like
okay,
every character, right? Like
Right, right.
every character that's ever showed up in Star Wars is in here, and even it's kind of funny because like, do you remember like when Lego first started making Star Wars licensed Star Wars sets? And the little minifigures were just like Lego men with the yellow heads.
They were yellow, yeah.
Right. Well, you can even unlock those, right?
Oh,
like
that's pretty
cool. Right. So you can play as the original Han Solo with the yellow head and the funny hair,
Oh,
and
right.
and then
That's
they have the
funny.
updated version. So it's like, it's and there's like little jokes. There's even little references. It's funny because there's like as you play through it, there's references to the old game,
Oh.
if you play through it enough, like it's, they just little Easter eggs for the
Yeah.
old game, but it's, we're really enjoying it. So it's a lot of fun. So if you,
That's cool.
and apparently this is like, I think it's since it's come out, it's become one of the best selling games in April. So it's like this and some other big RPG game.
Oh.
So it's a lot of people are playing it. A lot of people, I haven't heard anybody say anything bad about it. Everybody seems to like it, so it's worth it. If you're on the fence about it, check it out.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
That's cool. Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah. Like I said, these games are always a lot of fun. We're just watching the trailer on YouTube, but it's just funny. Yeah, but these are fun. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, they have IG-88 doing something right there. I'm not sure what that was, but it's fun
I don't know what
you,
that's about.
you can always go and like, I guess after you unlock certain levels, you can always go in and play as whoever you wanted to. Like, that was always fun.
Yeah. Well, that's what's cool is like you play through it. You play through it, and they sort of force you to use certain characters the first time you play through it. But then as you unlock other characters, you can replay that level as different characters. And because you're a different character, you can do different things. So like if you play through as C-3PO, only C-3PO can do certain things, and only R2 droids, like an R2 unit can only do certain things. So if you replay through it as an R2 unit, you may unlock things that you couldn't unlock when you played through it the first time, right? It's just a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That'll be fun. I know my daughter was interested in. I'll have to see if she brings it up again because she hasn't said anything lately.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's and if you wait a little, I mean, these always end up going on sale. So if you wait a little bit, you'll be able to get it for like $40 at some point.
Yeah.
But we actually we pre-ordered the deluxe version, and the deluxe version comes with it came with like a steel book.
Okay.
Which is the Lego Han Solo frozen in carbonite is sticking out of the cover, which is kind of cool. And it also came with Luke Skywalker, the blue milk Luke Skywalker. So he's in his Tatooine outfit from the first movie, and he's got like a little carton of blue milk, and he's got like blue on his face. It's
I see it there.
Yeah, right. So
that's cute.
Yeah, but it also comes with all the it also comes with all the character packs. So you can, like, they release new character packs. So I think you can get the Bad Batch and play as the Bad Batch, but you have to pay for it if you don't get the deluxe version.
If you hadn't with all that. Okay, I got you.
So so that's what we got. So it's a lot of fun. It's worth it to check out. So so that was really all I had to say about that.
Okay.
But do you want to talk about? There's a little bit of Obi Wan Kenobi news.
Yeah.
Nothing major, but we got some new. I think there's an article coming out from this magazine, which is Total Film.
Okay.
And I think there's an article coming out sometime this week, which is going to have more more pictures, but these are the pictures they
Oh.
released to sort of like a tease that
Oh,
the
I
story
see.
was
Okay.
coming. And it's not anything earth-shattering. I mean, if you're watching the YouTube video, we have the pictures up, but like there's a picture of Obi-Wan he's clearly in a city, right?
Yes.
Like it might look like Coruscant, or I mean something at least Coruscant like. I don't know if it
Right.
is Coruscant, but it sort of looks like that. So he's clear, like it seems like he's definitely off world.
Yeah,
right? Like he's not hanging out on Tatooine the whole time.
That's exactly what I thought. Because the other in the trailer, I remember being like, "Is that Obi Wan?" Yeah, like I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
And this is to me at least confirmation. You're like, all right, he leaves Tatooine. You know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's cool though. Yeah, and you're right. Coruscant, it looks very much like that. That one sequence of Coruscant when they're in the before they go into the bar and stuff.
Right, like the seedy areas of Coruscant.
Yeah, yeah.
And then there's another picture of him, which I think this is cool because it's like the only time we've ever seen Obi-Wan not wearing Jedi robes.
Yeah.
Right. And he's just wearing this sort of like blue shirt and like a poncho almost.
Yeah, right.
But it's like he's definitely not in Jedi garb, which is like the
Right.
first time we've ever seen that,
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool, right? I mean, I remember back in the day, one of my problems with the prequels was, that you're like, oh, Obi-Wan was wearing his Jedi robes all that time. Like, I just thought he lived in the desert and that was what he wore. And so, in hindsight, I just recently was looking at the picture of at the end of Jedi when they had Anakin, the old Anakin, show up with Ghost Obi-Wan and Ghost Yoda. Like his costume is basically Obi-Wan's costume. Yeah. So I'm kind of like, back then, I guess maybe Lucas knew all along that was Obi-Wan's, that they were his Jedi robes. I never thought about it. And I remember when the prequels came out, we thought the Jedi would look very different. And then we're like, oh, they're just wearing robes. Okay. Like it was a little disappointing.
I really thought they were going to be wearing what Luke was wearing in Return of the Jedi. That's what I expected them to be wearing.
Right. Right.
And then I was like, oh, he was just wearing his jet. Like, and nobody knew he was a Jedi.
Right. Hey, you're like, wait.
He's sort of telegraphing it, isn't
it? You're not really hiding, Obi-Wan.
It's supposed to be on the down low.
Right. But yeah, it is cool to see Obi-Wan in a different costume. That's fun to see.
Yeah. And then the last picture is just of the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah.
It's just a different view of him. We may even have seen this in the trailer. It doesn't look a whole lot different to me.
Right. I don't know if I'm getting more used to him or if he looks better here, in terms of the makeup of, the makeup effects and stuff. I'm leaning more towards, I think I'm just getting used to him.
Yeah.
Because I know when they first showed him, I felt like, he didn't really, they're not going to look like the cartoon, which is fine because it's a cartoon, but I felt like he looked a little bit, he didn't look a lot like that alien species because we saw these, I forget their name, but we saw them in Revenge of the Sith, I think, right? The whatever the species is, they have
right.
They have very long, elongated heads, and so the Grand Inquisitor in the cartoon also had that feature, and you're like, well, all right, that's an alien feature of it. And then this guy's head, the actor's has a more rounded head, so he kind of looks like he's got just this big round head.
Right, he just seems,
but
doesn't quite.
So right, and listen, I'm not saying they have to match. I understand it's a cartoon and there's liberties taken and all that stuff, but I was hoping they would maybe do something a little different. So we'll have to see once it comes out. But that being said, it's been around these images have been around, not these specific ones, but we've seen the Inquisitor enough that I'm kind of getting used to it. So it might just be, by the time the show comes out, it might be a non-issue,
Yeah, and I'm looking right now. When is this coming out again? I don't remember.
May 25th. Oh no,
May
it got
25th.
pushed. I think it got pushed back just a couple days. I think it was originally supposed to be a Wednesday, but then they pushed it to Friday, and they're going to release.
That's right. That's right.
They're going to release the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, that's right. They pushed it like 2, and I like that. I'm glad they're pushing it. I know people are complaining about it, but I rather them come out on Fridays.
I enjoy that too. It's something, especially it's I hate having I hate having to feel like it's in the middle of the week. If you get like, I gotta rush and watch that so I don't get spoiled. It seems it's just easier on a Friday.
Yeah, like I just have to, because that's what I end up watching them on Fridays anyway. So it's like then I have to like avoid social media for 2 days so I can,
right.
so I don't get spoiled or anything. But yeah, it's this says May 27th.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, right. Yeah, because originally it was the 25th, which was the anniversary of Star Wars. 45th anniversary of Star Wars. Yeah, and then they did push it back. So whatever, though, that's fine. Hey, like you said, I'm happy. I'm happy to get 2 of them because, that's always good too. I'm really looking forward to this, and I have faith in it. But sometimes getting 2 episodes is better than like. Remember Boba Fett, the first one ended, and you're just kind of like, oh. So if you get 2 of them, but the second one was good. So I'm hoping maybe this is.
Well, especially like all of these series, I think that first episode tends to be kind of slow because they're just building to a bigger story. So it just tends to be a little bit slower. That's fine. But it's nice when you get 2 episodes at once.
Yeah. So I agree with that.
Yeah, but I don't really have anything else.
Nope.
There's really not much else here. It's just kind of interesting that it came out.
Yeah, no, it's all fun. The hype trains, starting up for excuse me, starting up for Obi Wan. So, looking forward to this at the end of the month.
Yep. So, keep an eye out for the article. I think it's coming out later this week at some point.
Oh, right, yeah.
And we'll probably see more pictures and stuff like that. So. I think that's it for our Star Wars news.
Yeah, I think
we're moving into. Oh yeah, we want to talk about Star Trek real quick.
Okay.
Are you caught up on Picard?
I am. Are you too?
I am.
Okay. All right. So what have you thought so far about the season? I think we have 2 episodes left.
It may even be. Yeah, I think we have 2.
Okay.
I think because tomorrow night. We're recording on a Tuesday. The new episode comes out tomorrow, and I'm pretty sure that's not the last episode. So, all right. So here's where I
am. Well, I will say, just by your tone, I think we might be on the same page.
Okay. The first 3 episodes of this, I was loving it. Right.
Right.
And at some point, man, this thing just sort of went off the rails. Like, I don't know, like maybe in the end, it's all going to make sense. But I don't know what's happening. And I mean, like, they've got like 10 different stories going on, and I don't know which one is the story I need,
Right. I feel the exact same way. Because it's like, initially I'm like, man, here we go. We hit the ground running. We time travel. This is great. And then it's like, we're all over the place. Like,
like. Go ahead.
All right. So there's Picard, and like, he's got to prevent, or he's got to make sure his past relative or whatever gets into space.
Right.
But then so you have Q's interfering, and then, Data's whoever is interfering, and like there's all that, and then you have like Guinan's running around, and then you have Laris or whatever that character's name ended up being. She's running around, and then she like just vanishes for an episode. You know what I mean? Like, where did she go? You have the other Rios, and like, him and his doctor girlfriend or whatever, and I'm like, well, I don't even know what's happening over there. And then you have the Borg Queen thing, which like anybody with a half a brain should have seen coming from a mile away. You know what I mean?
I guess where I'm at, like, I don't know. I keep thinking, okay, this is the main story. Okay, this is the main story. No, this was the main story. And it keeps like, so like, I sort of figure, okay, like all right, so they go back to make sure that his ancestor gets on the Europa mission.
Right.
Well, I think they've succeeded. I think they've succeeded in that.
I think.
Like, so like that. I mean, or at least if they haven't succeeded, they haven't really talked about it for 2 episodes.
Right. Like Picard got hit by a car, and then suddenly we're all following the adventures of wounded Picard, and I'm like, well, what happened to the mission? Like,
Right.
That's why he said, that's why he potentially sacrificed himself.
And then we went down that whole path about his mother and his father, which I was like, and I was like, wow, like what is happening here? And then I don't know, is that like what? I mean, it was interesting, but is that because they didn't mention any of that in this past episode?
Yeah.
So I was like, does any of this impact the larger story? Like, I don't know what's happening.
I'm the exact same way, and I would love for the final episode to tie everything together, and then you're like, oh, that was a really fun adventure, or oh wow, we learned a lot about Picard and whatever. But like at this point, it's just like, it's just all these tangents going out in these different directions, and you're just kind of like,
right. And the whole episode with Picard like learning about his parents, they hardly touched on the Borg Queen at all, and she's like running around like assimilating people. I'm like, shouldn't somebody be dealing with that? Like, I don't know.
There's a Borg Queen loose. I know.
I don't know.
I'm the same way. It feels like a lot of filler. I mean, like not for anything, and when I first started thinking that, I was like, you know what? I'm used to Star Trek. It's a 1-hour show or a 2-hour movie, and things move at a faster clip. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to give it a little bit of room to breathe. But now it's just like, like, I don't know, like something happens and you're like, oh, I guess we're doing this now. Like, not for anything. The whole thing with Rios and like the clinic doctor and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get what that's doing over there. You know what I mean? Like,
like Rios, like it was almost like right from the start, he was off.
Right. Yeah.
He was out of it, like right from the beginning.
Right.
And off on this other little story, and and like he really hasn't come back. Like he's like with this, and it's I don't know. I mean, all of these stories are sort of I don't dislike any of them.
Right.
But I just don't. I'm like, when is this all gonna? Because there's only a couple episodes left. This is all gonna make sense at some point, and I feel like a lot of it is gonna be irrelevant in the end.
Yes, I agree with that. I mean, so much so that at the end of when he goes back to the bar with Guinan, and then whatever the conversation is, we think, oh, she tries to summon Q, and then we think it's going to be Q coming down the steps, and it's that police officer guy, and then the whole next episode they're getting interrogated, which just struck me as like useless. I didn't know what was happening. This is interesting, because I've told you I've been rewatching Voyager, right? Okay.
And so a lot of fans were really angry because that FBI officer played a time traveling entity in Voyager that has like an adventure with Voyager. It's the same actor.
Okay. All right.
Right. And so all these people were like, oh, well, this guy is going to be like a time traveler person, and this is all going to factor in, because the episode he was in Voyager was a time travel episode.
Right.
This guy is a time travel. So they're like, oh, this is all going to factor in. It's all going to tie together. Well, I mean, based on what happened at the end of the last episode, he's just an FBI agent.
He's just right.
So all these people are like really angry. Like, why would you bring that actor back to do this and then not make him the character he was?
Right. Especially for a show like this, which is, I mean, they're telling a new story, but there's a whole lot of this based on nostalgia for the old shows. Like, right. I mean,
and maybe, and again, it could all turn, right? Like maybe he is that guy, and we'll find out at the end or whatever. But it just like just the beginning of this last episode when it's him as a kid running into the Vulcans, and I'm like, why do I care? Right? Like, I don't care. Right? Like, that's neat, but I don't care.
Right. And you kept waiting for a payoff, and there's like, you're like, all right, so the Vulcans were sloppy, and this kid saw them. Okay, and then and then he was like, I still don't understand. Was he really like an FBI agent or whatever he was supposed to be, or was like he operating independently? Because then he shows up, he's like, they're still prisoners, they're still in a room, and he shows up with his box of stuff, and they're like, oh, I've been fired. And I'm like, and they're still letting you access prisoners? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like you can go say goodbye to your, you know what I mean? It was just,
it's, I really like, the first 3 episodes I loved.
Yeah.
And then like, I don't know what's happened. Like all of a sudden I just feel like it's totally gone off the rails.
Yeah. That's the best
way. And then like the Allison Pill character, the Dr. Girardi character.
Yes.
She just killed somebody again under the influence of, and I'm like, how many people is this woman going to kill before?
Right. She's like a mass murderer at this point. I mean, not really, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like,
that's like 2.
And it's kind of bad because you're like, well, not for anything, but like, how weak is this woman? She keeps getting taken over.
Right. So
horrible.
I don't know. I hope it all comes together. I really do.
Well, yeah, me too. And then I mean, you have 7 and 9 and Raffi, and like, they basically they were in a relationship, but now they're not, and then they're just like bickering this whole time. And I'm like, well, it would have been nice to actually see some of their relationship before you have them like bickering and not being a relationship. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's just like,
you know what? And I have to be honest, like, I totally missed that. Like, what? I didn't know that like, I learned about it earlier today. I was watching some things prepping for the show, and they were talking about them being in a relationship. And I'm like, when did that happen? Did I miss
it's
that?
Funny. At the this is funny though, because at the very, very end of season 1, like at the end of the final episode, the camera's kind of floating through the ship, and you're just kind of seeing everybody's happy, and that the adventure's over, everyone's sort of happy, and the two of them are sitting at a table across from each other and kind of and go like this and hold each other's hands, and that's all they show. Okay. And so I remember then there was speculation like, oh, is something happening there? Were they just holding hands? Were they just being friendly? But there's speculation there. And then when the new show started, they made a reference to it, and you're like, oh, they're in a relationship now. And then you're like, that's fine or whatever. But like, like instantly they're broken up. So it's like, well, if you want to go down that road, why not show them actually being happy or being together for a little while? So then we're invested when they break up.
I had no idea that was even a thing. Honestly, today was the first time I heard. I was like, really?
And that's even funnier, right? Because this whole like that's the whole season, or the whole season they've been like bickering back and forth because like they kind of broke up. And I wonder, like, what did you think was going on there? I wonder.
I just thought they were arguing. Like, I just thought they were like getting on each other's nerves. I didn't think.
Like, wow, these two don't like each other.
I didn't think.
That's funny.
I mean, it's like you said. Like, if that's what it is, that's fine.
Oh yeah.
But like, funny, I just didn't even. I learned about it on. I was telling you about that. Will Wheaton does that show, that YouTube show. Right. It's the Ready Room.
Yes.
And Jerry Ryan, the last one, Jerry Ryan, and the guy that plays Reyes was on.
Okay. All right.
And he asked her about that, and I was like, what?
Yeah. Right.
And so then she kind of explained what the origin of it, where it came from.
Oh.
And apparently, like, a picture of somebody took a picture of the two of them at a Comic-Con, and they were like real close together, and they had their arms around each other, and I think it's Michelle Hurd is Raffi, right? Like that's the actor's name.
I don't know, but I'll go with that.
I think it is.
Okay.
She said something about them being like as a joke, like, well, there's the two best looking lesbians in Star Trek Galaxy or something like that, right?
Okay, right.
And just as a joke. And then I guess it became a thing, and people were like, well, you know what? Maybe that's not a bad idea, right? Like, and that's where it apparently where the genesis of it was,
Okay.
or at least according to Jerry Ryan. So I was like,
right.
That's
Okay, right.
And now I'm kind of like, did I like I don't even know when it happened. Like where was it? This
That's so funny. Well, it's actually, it's a shame really, because it's like, if you're gonna put that out there and put the effort into it, like,
yeah, commit to it.
Commit to it, right? Yeah, like, and develop it a little bit instead of just boop up, we're broken up and now we bicker.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So that's funny. Yeah, I guess right. Like I remember seeing them holding hands on the ship. I'm like, I wonder what that's about. And then I do remember there being a little online conversation about it. I just remember, as always, people were upset by it. And I just remember finding it funny that like Seven of Nine, who was like this big sex symbol back in the day, now they're having involved in a lesbian relationship or whatever it is. And I remember finding that a little bit funny, just to be like, I just pictured all these guys being all like, oh no, not my 7 of 9,
Right. All these guys that like they're in the bodysuit.
Right.
I'm actually at the point in the Voyager rewatch or watch. I've never watched it. I'm at the end of season 3, and I think she shows up in the cast in season 4.
Oh.
And so I'm looking forward to seeing that, because I will say this. I get why they added her.
Yeah, right.
It totally makes it, because it's just the show it's not bad, but it's just like, how like the Next Generation, that cast just sort of clicked.
Yes.
Right. Like they all sort of, they just clicked. They were all worked together. They worked well together, like the actors, and it just, there was only a couple that like Will Wheaton was always a little strange,
right.
and then that doctor that came after Beverly Crusher left, she was a little odd, but like that cast really gelled well, and Voyager just doesn't. Like I just feel like they're just
right. They're just, because I do remember that when they brought 7 of 9 on board, I remember thinking like, like I didn't realize the show was on for 3 years before they added her.
Yeah.
I do remember them adding her, thinking like, at the time, because the Borg was awesome and all that, I remember being like, this is a good idea.
Yeah. But it's just like like the first officer, like I like her as the captain.
Right.
But like the first officer just is, I don't know, her
Chakotay.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah. They're not great together, and then it's like the Klingon, half Klingon,
I forgot,
engineer.
I forgot
she's
about
a little strange.
Is it a girl? It's a woman, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
and it's not bad. It's just I just don't think they work together as a cast as well.
It's always funny because that's something you can't quantify.
Right.
But when the cast gels, then it's like, this is really good. Whereas like they said, Voyager, you're like, all right, the stories, it might be great, but the cast, that something's missing,
And like the alien, so they have Neelix.
Yes, I remember him. Right.
And Kess are like the aliens who sort of joined. She was female, and she was like Neelix's girlfriend.
Right.
And they show up in the first episode, right? And they join the crew. And I don't love her character at all. Like she kind of gets on my nerves. She's kind of psychic and stuff. And so I think, and my impression is, I think she was supposed to be like the one that you kind of identify with, and and I think she didn't work great.
Okay.
And I think that's why they bring in 7 of 9. Because then she sort of becomes the character that's the one you kind of relate to.
I see what you're saying,
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm interested. So I'm sort of interested. Like I watch a couple every week. So I'm wondering if she actually shows up at the beginning of season 4. So we'll see, because it's a Borg episode. So.
Then she must. Then they must.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
I know yeah. I mean, just back to Picard though. It's just a shame. It's like, I kind of feel like season one, as I did like season one, but I do remember by the end of season one feeling like what's happening here. And this season I was hoping would be better, and it feels like it's worse.
Yeah.
It's
just all over the place, and it's like you said, like then you've got the Dr. Sung thing going on.
Right.
And it was funny because I didn't know, like, that actress that was in the first season,
right,
who was the what's her name? The android or whatever.
What was her name?
Her name's Issa Soji. The actress's name is Issa Briones.
Okay.
She it was funny because like we were a couple episodes in, and I was like, oh, I guess she's not even going to be in this.
Right. Yeah.
Season,
yeah.
Right. Like she was at that first episode.
Then they ditched her. Yeah.
And then they ditched her. I was like, oh, I guess she's not even going to be in it. So then she shows up in it, and it's like, that's a whole different like that storyline's going on. You got the Borg Queen thing going on.
Right.
Well, you've got the Borg Queen thing going on with Girardi and the Borg Queen, and then you got Raffi and Seven of Nine chasing the Borg Queen. Then you got Rios having his romance with the woman,
right?
And then Picard's like all over the place, like with his parents, and then his ancestor, So it's just it's all over the place. I don't know what's happening.
And then like he runs in early on, he runs into Guinan at the bar, and I'm like, oh, that was there's the original cameo with Whoopi Goldberg.
Right.
Then he ran into the different actress playing Guinan, and I'm like, oh, okay, that was nice. And then I thought that was it. And then then whatever's going on.
Yeah, she's back.
Well, then there's that whole Lars character who's not Lars, the Watcher, whatever her name is. But then all of a sudden, then Guinan's back. And I'm like, well, why didn't they just make Guinan be this Lars character? Like, it just seems like, why'd they bring this other actress back in and make it even more confusing? Because she's from the future also. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And then I want to know what's going on with Q, and he shows up for a scene, and then he disappears, and then what is happening?
That's my biggest thing, is like, after all this time, I'm like, and they set up the premise. I'm like, I'd like to see more of Q. I'd like to, if this is going to be Q's final story, or if he's dying or something, I would actually like to see a lot more about him. Like, it's not Guinan pouring drinks and doing some kind of shriek to call him. You know what I mean? Like, that was dumb.
That was, I was like, what is, that was ridiculous.
And then then when Picard's getting when he's being interrogated, she beams herself into the room, and she's like, "Oh, Picard!" and her nose is bleeding or something. And I'm like,
what? That was it was like a whole 11 thing.
Yeah, right. I'm like, wait, Guinan can now mentally project herself across things, but her nose bleed.
I just don't know what's and I hope it all gets tied together. I really do, but I just. Right now, I just have no idea what's happening. It's just all over the place.
My hopes are not high. I mean, I have to say, it's going to take a lot for them to pull everything together like that. It's going to be. I hope it does, but man, Now the other news that came out about this is that season 3 has been announced,
right?
And they're bringing everybody back.
Everybody's back.
Generation. And I found it interesting that they chose to announce that bit of news I think it wasn't even halfway through the season. So part of me was I'm like, oh, do they realize this thing's a bit of a train wreck and they're just trying to get people to stick around?
I wonder.
Because that's that was big news. I was, and so I'm like, that, rather than wait till the end, that's the only thing I could think of. I'm like, why would you waste that? Why wouldn't you, why wouldn't you tease that at the end of the season?
Yeah, that's a good point. And you may be right. I just don't, I don't know. I don't know what happened. It was, I thought it was, they really set up a really good story, and then
the potential's all there. It's just, I mean,
maybe, and maybe I guess they were, maybe they were filming this during COVID they couldn't be all together. And that's why you're getting these vignettes of stories.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. For some reason, I thought they had. I did think that. I was like, maybe this is a little disjointed because of COVID, but I feel like they started like, I thought they started this after COVID, like kind of had cleared up a little bit.
I don't know.
But my sense of time is all off now, because of COVID. Like
Yeah.
I have no idea. Like what was it last year at this time that like everything was going back to quote normal? Or was it?
Yeah, I mean, it always, because it would taper off in the spring and then pick up again in the fall. So it's like if you were filming.
Maybe they had shot some of it. I don't know. I feel like the shows that were coming out like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier came out last year at this time.
Yeah.
That was definitely impacted by COVID. So this show, I'm not quite sure how much of it was, but
yeah,
whatever. I don't know. They gotta, whatever they do for season 3, I hope they can just tighten it up. And I mean, even if you got to cut some episodes, I mean, it doesn't have, like we always say with streaming, it can be what it has to be. And
right.
And if you're
sometimes less is more.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the whole episode with the flashback and the fairy tale with his mother and father, and like that was just like that struck me as like nonsense. Like,
I mean, I thought it was interesting, but I was like, I don't know why we're getting this story here.
Right, that's what I mean by, you know what I mean. Like, I'm like, okay, like I'm like, well, I like Picard and I'm interested, but then as it's progressing, you're like, well, okay,
why?
Like, yeah, like I felt like there should have been like an instant payoff, like, oh, but I don't know.
Right, like I don't know how that, based on what the story they've told so far, I don't know how that any of that stuff that happened with him, and his parents ties into what's got to happen before the end of the show.
Right. I mean, unless they're trying to. I mean, I felt like early on they were trying to say like, oh, Picard, for all his success, he's damaged from his childhood, and that's why he never found a wife, and that's why he, you know what I mean. And I thought that's the direction they were going in, but like now I don't know. It's just like they're not, they're throwing all that stuff out there, but again, maybe the last couple episodes they'll bring it together. But if they do try to bring stuff together, I think it's going to feel sloppy, just the way things are going.
Because I think you're right. I think there's 2 episodes left.
So I would love for them to just surprise me and be able to do it, but
I'm not hopeful. I mean, after because it my wife has been watching it with me.
Oh, she has,
and she felt the same way. Like she sort of enjoyed the first 3 episodes, and she's like, look, I got to tell you, I don't know what's happening. And she's like, it's kind of boring. And I was like, I got to tell you, as a Star Trek fan, I don't know what's happening. Right. Like it's just all over the place. I don't know, but I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully they pull it together. We'll find out. New episodes tomorrow night. Or tomorrow. Right. Not tomorrow night. Right. So we'll see.
We'll see, right? Fingers crossed on this one. I know.
All right. You ready to move into some Marvel news?
Yeah. What do we got for Marvel? We got first up we have this is just, they released this today. This is the final poster for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. But this is coming out next Wednesday or Friday. Oh, I thought I had it looked up and I forget.
Sure.
May 6th.
May 6th. Okay. Yeah, so it's next week.
Yeah. So good. Maybe we'll try to go see this next
week. We should get together.
Yeah. But so anyway, this is coming out. I just want to make mention that I haven't really been paying that close of attention to the various trailers and spots that they've been releasing. I know the general gist of it and all that. I think the spot they released today, they actually said the word Illuminati. Like, before they were sort of teasing it. I know today the one that came out, they actually said, Doctor Strange, let me introduce you to the Illuminati or something like that.
So it's definitely them.
Yeah.
I have to get, like, I know that there's been new trailers. I see bits of I just haven't been paying attention. Like I sort of like to watch the first big one, the first 2, like the teaser and then the first big one, right? And then anything after that, like as it gets closer, because then a lot of times they just recut that one. They'll give you a little bit snippet of new footage, and basically it's just a recut of what you've already seen.
Right. I know, and they've been very good about it recently, but years ago, I think it was for Age of Ultron, I feel like they showed in the trailers for that one, they showed like the entire Iron Man fight. And I remember in the theater being excited for that.
Right. I remember that.
and it ended, and I'm like, I've seen this entire fight before,
Yeah.
So I think they've gotten much better about that since then, but I try to, especially with everything being online these days, I just try to, if I see it, I'm like, oh, that's nice, but I try not to pay too close of attention to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely should get together and go see that.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun.
But like sort of the big news is I don't have a trailers or anything for this if you're watching
fine,
YouTube,
yeah.
but I just put this up. But
Great.
like Moon Knight, like where are you with Moon Knight? You happy with Moon Knight?
I'm loving it. I think it's great.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's fun. It's fun because one, I don't really, and we've said it before, I didn't know much about this character at all. You know what I mean? Like I knew the costume, I knew of Mr. Knight, the guy in the suit. So I knew of the two costumes, but I didn't know much about his powers. I knew he had something to do with ancient Egypt, and that's really all I knew. And I knew he was, I knew he was Batman-esque. I'll say,
Right.
So I've been enjoying the ride. I'm just like, all right, what's happening here? Let's have some fun. And it's been really cool. I really enjoyed it. I think Oscar Isaac is doing a great job. I love the split personality thing, and like all that has been good. Ethan Hawke's been great as the bad guy. I don't know his name. That's but I've been liking him. And then this last episode was really good because it had like a whole Indiana Jones vibe when they were like kind of in the pyramid and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But then at the very end of it was just like, what is happening here? Like, you know what I mean?
It's so like the last episode was sort of trippy. Like I really want to watch. I really want to rewatch that episode in particular because so much was going on, and I especially at the end there, it's like what happened, But yeah, I really like this show. I like this character a lot.
Yeah.
I think he's a cool character. So I really hope I hope this takes off and he gets integrated into the MCU as a whole, because I just think he's a really interesting character. I love the various Stephen Grant and Mark Spector, and I guess there might be a third one showing up at some point. I forget what his name is.
I don't know if he had. I mean, maybe from the comics, but I don't think we know his name. I don't know if we've gotten his name yet.
I know that in the. I don't remember what it is, but like in the first comic because I went way back, like when they first introduced him, right? And it's like I said, like when they first introduced him in the comics, he was just a guy who had these alter egos, right? He was not a split personality. That came later,
right?
But one of his alter egos was this like taxi cab, street smart guy.
Oh,
and I forget what his name is, but I believe that
must be the other one then,
right? The other one. So
because my hypothesis is that because at one point in a previous episode, I think one of the personalities comes to and he has already stabbed a guy.
Yes.
And the guy's like, "What'd you do?" And the other one's like, "I didn't do anything." So they started hinting at that third. So I think when they both wake up in I think that was a mental institution at the right. Yes.
Yes.
But when I think both of them are basically off the table at that point, and the third guy's in charge. I think that's what
that may be right. That may be what's going on. So I like the mystery of this whole thing. I like the adventure, like you say, like there's elements of Indiana Jones in there. There's a lot of action. There's elements of Batman in there. Like I just really like this character a lot. So
it's been really cool. And I'm not a big fan of like in comics and stuff of like magic or like supernatural, because it can get very, very quickly can get very lazy. You know what I mean? Just be like, oh, it's magic. But so I like how they've sort of like set it up. It's like, all right, these are the Egyptian gods, and they have an avatar, and then we've seen some of the other ones around there, and so it's like they explain the rules, and they seem to be following the rules in terms of the show.
Yeah.
Like, I when it comes to that stuff, I always found that to be important. Like magic, you need rules and boundaries, and I like that even with Doctor Strange, they explained it that way. And Thor was great because I remember I never really cared for Thor before anything other movies, and in that they're like, oh, he's an alien, or oh, he's in another, and you're like, oh, okay, I got it,
right.
It's not some magical whatever, but I really have been enjoying that part of it, how they've been able to make that accessible, I guess you should say,
And I think he like you said, Oscar Isaac, I think, is doing a fabulous job, because I really buy when he's these different people, right? Like he really does, like he's like a totally different personality. Like when he's, I just really, I think he's doing a really great job.
I do too. I hope. I mean, I hope they. I read somewhere that he's only signed for this, but hopefully they throw a bag of money at him and he'll come back for other stuff too. Because I'd love to see him in the larger universe.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow night is the new episode again. I probably won't watch it until Friday, but I'm really excited about tomorrow night, because I'm like, I really want to see that whole sanitarium or whatever it was scene is just, it's like, what is happening here? And then the hippo. The hippo god shows up at the end. What's funny is I was watching, so prepping for the show, I was watching some stuff, and I was watching one of those guys, that tells you all about the Easter eggs, new rock stars or Screen Crush, whatever.
Yeah.
One of them. And apparently at the very beginning, at the first episode of the show, when Steven is still working at the museum and he's in the shop, and they're, I don't know if they were doing stock or whatever, but he's holding, and he says something about that goddess. It's like, I forget what the goddess's name is.
Right. Okay.
But he's holding like a plush, like hippo god, and he says her name, whatever it is. Oh. And I was like, funny. Oh wow, it's cool that's
that's cool. That's clever. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just think they're doing a really good job with it. I really like the show a lot.
Yeah, I would have to say, I mean, from if you're comparing them for all the Marvel shows so far, I think this one's my favorite, and I think it's just because it's so new. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the other ones,
and there's a mystery to it, so it's like it's compelling. You're like, what is happening? I want to know what's happening. Yeah,
the other ones were all tied into the larger MCU, which is fun, and obviously we love that. But it's like this is a fun change of pace, basically, because this show, I'm interested in this show, not as much its connection to the larger world as of yet, anyway.
Yeah.
So good. So anyway, looking forward to this. I think there's only 2 more episodes of this one. 5 and 6. I think this is only 6 episodes, so I think there's only 2 more.
Yeah, because we're right. I think you're right.
Yeah. So. But hopefully, like I said, hopefully it gets another season, or they'll put him in the movies or something, because I really would like to see more of this character.
Yes, definitely. I think it's a great character, and and I hope it continues, because he would be a cool addition.
Yeah.
And then to think about how all the characters that are already established would react to him would be kind of cool.
That would be fun, right?
So. Yeah, we'll see where it goes. So, new episode tomorrow night or tomorrow. So check it out. But don't spoil it, because I'm holding out until Friday. And then the other big news is that we got a Thor: Love and Thunder trailer,
right?
Which is really cool.
Yeah, I was really. I'm really excited for this movie, and I was looking forward to it. I knew I was, but I was really like. I was really impressed and excited, and like the trailer was like all like heartfelt, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's funny and stuff, but like, I really like how they positioned it, where he's like, I don't know who I am anymore. Like, I gotta figure this out, and then they show him doing the workout routine. So I'm really looking forward to this. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be funny, but Taika Waititi does a good job with, like, it's like Ragnarok. You think of that as a funny movie, but then like when you see it, you're like, there's a lot of like deep stuff going on here.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I really like I have liked Thor from like I know like that the very first movie. I know
Yeah.
a lot of people don't love that, but I thought he did such a great, like I have loved him as Thor from that
Yes.
very first movie.
I,
Like
I yes.
he just totally nailed it in that movie, Um, and I just think he's a really like he really he like humanizes this character who's sort
Yeah.
of ridiculous, really, from the comics,
Right.
you know,
Uh,
and he just really does a nice job of like taking this character and really giving it some meat, and
yeah.
making him interesting.
I agree 100%. I mean, he does a great job, and really, like, I don't know, I really enjoy the humor. I really enjoy
Yeah,
it's inherently silly, so it's like I enjoy that. It can be that way, but they can also tell a nice story too. So I mean, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's and of course it'll be fun to see the Guardians of the Galaxy again, because they show up, and they have their little
yeah.
their little idiosyncrasies and all that stuff. And yeah, I mean,
Well, I really thought I was like I mean initially I was like, what is it going to be weird to have like Thor and the Guardians in the same movie? Like I thought the
yeah,
Guardians were going to be in the whole movie, but based on I mean I don't know. I mean, what have we seen here? Like not even a minute of footage, but like it looks like they may not be in the whole movie. It looks like they
yeah.
may sort of be at the beginning, and then they go their separate ways.
That's the impression I got too.
You know?
They're like, they're basically right. They're gonna. It almost looks like it looks like they take him somewhere and drop him off. He's like, I got to figure things out. They're like, all right, see you later.
Right.
And they go off to be in Guardians 3, which they're shooting now anyway.
Right.
And and then he has his adventure here. So, but yeah, I wasn't sure. I mean, maybe they're in more of the movie than we realize. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean it's really cool. Now I some of the stuff I watched today, they're saying no, and I'm just going to throw this out there, see if, I mean, it's just speculation, so it's not spoiler, but they're talking about that they think the bad guy in this film may be Gore the God Butcher. Do you know anything about this character?
Only that he's going to be played by Christian Bale.
Okay, so he's definitely in it. Okay.
He's definitely in. I saw an action figure of him. The action figure, he just looked very white and pale, and he didn't look like what I remembered having seen from the comics. Not that I've read comics with him in it, but when they announced he was the bad guy, I remember seeing pictures and I'm like, oh, well, that doesn't match up with it. But I know, and people are a little bit disappointed by that. But there's also a rumor that he might shapeshift at some point in the movie. So who knows?
Okay.
But yes, Thor, or Gore the God Butcher?
Gore the God Butcher.
Yes. So he apparently is the main bad guy.
Okay. And then I read something today that said he's got like a sword, right? Like he's got some kind of sword. I forget what the name is. And it's got a name. I forget what it's called.
Oh.
But like and the sword was like created by like the god of the symbionts, which is where Venom comes from.
Right? Oh, now that's new. That's news to me. I hadn't heard that.
And,
so, okay.
I mean, it, and this is all like I don't know any of this. This is all just stuff I've read or seen or whatever, and I'm picking up. So, I was hoping you knew more about it. I was like, well, Grant knows about what this is all about.
Yeah,
but
he's brand new to me.
But what I read today is that they're saying that it appears that at least the storyline, the idea for the storyline comes from this certain run of comics.
Okay.
And I think I might like try to pick it, like I was like, maybe because I have Marvel Unlimited. So
I was
like, maybe I'll go check that out because I don't think it'll spoil anything, but it'll just kind of like give you, because they never necessarily go.
Yeah. They never do like a true adaptation. Right. Yeah.
Right. So I might check it out.
Yeah, the one thing I know, I'm not sure where it is. Yeah, this scene right here in the trailer with that giant beast that's dead on the ground there.
Yeah.
Right. There's a picture of that from the movie and that from the comic book, and they're literally mirror images. Like,
Oh, really? Okay.
They totally reproduced it. So I know a lot of people were saying, like, on one hand, they're like, wow, look how faithful they are to the comics. And on the flip side, people were like, well, the guys doing the comics should probably be getting more money.
Right. Yeah, right.
So,
and then this scene with
oh yeah,
with Jane. I mean,
Natalie Portman's back.
Yeah. So, and that's from, like, she becomes Thor in the comics at some point, right?
Yes. Yeah. I'm not sure. I've never read any of those. I do remember when it happened. And I think in the comics, she was dying or something.
Yeah. I think I heard that. I read that today. She had cancer or something.
Yes. But I'm not sure how I was always confused by how she became Thor, because to me, I always thought Thor was the man, not the power with, like, the hammer.
Right,
and stuff,
right.
You know what I mean? So I was always confused by that. Like, Thor isn't a costume. It's not like, oh, this guy's Spider-Man now or whatever.
Right.
So I was always confused by that, but whatever. And she shows up at the end of here and she's looking all badass. So I'm like, all right, I'm on board. This should be fun. Yeah.
So
you see that character?
Oh yeah,
that's Zeus. That's I'm blanking on what's name. The Gladiator. What guy?
Gladiator. What's his? I know her. I can't think of his name.
Oh my god. Why am I blanking?
Russell Crowe.
Thank you. Oh my god, that's embarrassing.
Yeah. But that's right. I was like, yeah, it's the Gladiator guy.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to be Zeus. So it'll be fun to see Thor, who's an Asgardian god, crossover with Zeus, who's the Greek god, right?
Yeah.
And then so again, we were talking about the Egyptians god earlier. I'm like, well, where do the Greek gods live? Like, how are they going to position them? And like, it'll be neat to see how they handle all that.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to it. This I don't remember when it comes out.
I think it is July.
You know what? Yes, it does, because it comes out. I think it's July 8th.
Okay.
And because we are going on a cruise that week.
Oh.
So I think we're going to be able to see, like, we should be able to see it on the ship, because they usually
that's
have.
Cool.
Yeah,
they usually have right.
Yeah.
Right,
so
that'll be cool then.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. So that was good stuff. I don't know. Do you have anything else about Thor?
Nope. Just looking forward to it again. Really excited for it. He's one of my favorites, and I enjoy Taika Waititi, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, should be good.
Yeah.
All right. So this is all right. Now we're going to move out of Marvel news, and this is just we got a trailer for Stranger Things 4.
Right.
And I don't have too much here to say about this, but I just thought it was interesting that we finally got a trailer.
Yeah.
For Stranger Things.
I totally missed this. So when you emailed me yesterday and you're like, oh, I put some things in the the deck or whatever. I was going through. I'm like, oh, what's going on with Stranger Things? And I watched the video, and I was like, oh no, you mentioned it. I looked it up online because the deck wasn't ready. But anyway, either way, I was like, I totally missed this. I don't know how I missed this trailer. So I watched it, and I got to say, I'm all super excited for it. You know?
I think this came out like the week after we recorded. The last time, I mean, because this trailer's been out for a while. But that said, I hadn't watched it until this week. Like, I knew it came out, and I'm like, oh, I gotta watch that trailer. I gotta watch the trailer. And then finally, after we said we were gonna record, I was like, oh, I gotta watch this trailer now. But it looks really good.
Yeah. I'm totally interested where it's going and stuff. I mean, so there's season 4, and then season 5 will be the final season, is what they said.
Oh, is that okay? All right, all right.
And they said, they planned it going longer, but they feel like now's the time to end it. And the only thing I can really think of is that the kids are just getting entirely too old.
Yeah.
Because, you know what I mean? Like, even in the trailer, you're like, all right, you're really pushing the high school thing here.
Yeah, definitely.
But,
like that Finn, I mean, they all look,
like
they're getting to be adults. Like, you can only do that for so long, right?
Yeah. But I'm curious to see, like, I mean, they show the one guy in here who seems to be the main bad guy now. For the season. there seems to be like a haunted house that they're involved in. Lots of good 80s throwback stuff. I mean, I don't get a sense of the overall storyline, but you get an idea of certain things.
Yeah.
And that's Paul Reiser right there, right?
Right.
Okay.
And then,
so he's
and then Hopper is clearly like, because there had been some speculation, but he's clearly back now, right? Like,
right. Yeah.
I think this is the first time we really see him. Like he was hinted at before, but I think we finally see him.
That's true. Yeah, I feel like they did show us him one other time though, or
they showed the back of his. I think you didn't see him.
Right.
It was like hinted that was him, but it wasn't like after.
Right. Yeah, because there he is. There. Yeah. Yeah. So right, he's in Russia now. So right, we got to figure. He's got to. I guess he's gonna have to find his way home. In the meantime, fighting off demigorgons or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder if this is a weird scene with the kid with the guitar. I don't know what's going on there.
I know. It looked cool.
But I'm really looking forward to this. I love Stranger Things. I thought that I may go back and try to rewatch them because I just think they do such a nice job with these stories. This to me, this stuff is so nostalgic to me because it brings me back to it like calls back to like the movies like when we were kids, right? Like the Goonies and all that kind of stuff. And it's and I was saying to my son the other day, we were talking about it, and I kind of feel bad for them because like they don't get stuff like that anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? Like stuff like the Gremlins and Goonies and all those things that were sort of like one-offs, E.T., and they were kind of about teenagers or young teenagers, and you could relate to them. And they don't get those kind of movies anymore, and this is sort of like that, but
very much so. I mean, like, like I think of like E.T., like, I mean, that movie, it's obviously E.T., but like a big part of the movie is like Elliot and his brother and sister,
right?
And, like, they're friends, and very much reminiscent of how Stranger Things started out. And right, they just don't make movies like that anymore.
Yeah, and it's a shit because it's like I remember us being like totally geeked out about Goonies.
Right.
And looking back, okay, that movie doesn't hold up great. You watch back, it's kind of cheesy and it's fun, but like for a kid when we were that age, like it was really cool. And
it did exactly what it was supposed to do. Just be a fun movie and get your imagination going. And I mean, the movies now, I mean, everything's such a big production that, I mean, nobody takes risks anymore. Like, there will never be a one-off Goonies or even like an E.T. I mean, that was the biggest movie ever at one point.
Right.
And, I can't see anybody greenlighting that, and they're going to be like, wait, what? There's no
right.
action,
Unless they know it's going to be a franchise, they're really not interested,
Yeah.
And like and movies like that weren't like Goonies. We got one Goonie,
right?
And I mean, Gremlins sort of became a series, but the other movies weren't great, right? It was just the first one was really good.
They did the first one, and then they did a second one, which just became like parody. Like it was just it was. I love it, but it was just
I remember it was really funny, and we liked it, but it was like clearly the first one was the movie.
Right. That was the real movie. Then the second one, they just said, we'll go horse around, basically.
Yeah. So
but there was a lot of movies like that and stuff. And now, I mean, and I would even say like now maybe on some of the streaming services, maybe they might take more chances, but I don't even think they can do that anymore. So
everything's got to be a sure thing.
And it was just terrible because I know a lot of people, even Netflix, like they'll put a show out and then it doesn't get numbers and they cancel it and right away, and you're just kind of like, oh, that's a shame. And then meanwhile, all these people invested a season or whatever in the show, and I'm sure they get upset by that. So
but I'm really looking forward to this, so we will see what happens. This is apparently release. It was originally set to release on May 27th, but they pushed it back. It looks like it's going to be July 1st.
Oh, is that right? Okay. I didn't realize that. Okay.
July. And the fourth season will have 9 episodes.
Oh, all right. I forget what the normal seasons usually have, but I feel like it's usually 8
wait.
episodes. Oh,
No, I read that wrong. Stranger Things is scheduled to be released exclusively via Netflix streaming service in 2 volumes, with the first
oh,
with the first set for May 27th and the second 5 weeks later on July 1st. And the 4th
oh.
season will have 9 episodes and continuing.
Okay, so they're going to release season 4, but they're going to break it in half.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. So it's like you get 4 and 4 or something like that, or
Yeah,
4 and 5,
4 and 5 or something like that. Yeah.
Huh, interesting.
And yeah, they're at the trailer. Just okay, that's interesting. Because we've said it before with Netflix, they just like to drop everything at once, which
Yeah.
used to be really cool, but now it's actually fun to have a weekly show.
Yeah, I prefer it that way.
Yeah, because and then you can talk about it and everybody's on the same page.
Yeah,
Whereas,
right.
like, they dropped Stranger Things and it's been a huge hit for them, but like, within, literally a day, some people watch the whole show, and then poof, it's gone.
Yeah, I think it's better. Like I enjoy it more when because it's like, and then you have time to sort of like process it and like think about it and talk about it, and then like you see the next episode and you're like, okay,
Right.
that tracks. This fits with that, and and then you could go back and rewatch the whole season at once, and I like it that way better. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. I'm for these shows I do like that. Some shows I do enjoy binging though, but I tend not to binge. Even if I am binging a show, I might watch like 2 a night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not like I'm not sitting there for 8 hours or anything like that. I mean, it is sometimes nice to be able to just every night watch something, but no. But for these shows, I enjoy being a fan of this stuff. I enjoy, like, even if you and I don't talk or do a podcast, I enjoy going online and poking around and just, you know what I mean? Just seeing what people are saying, and it's just fun. And like I said, everybody's on the same page. So it's always, it's more of a community thing,
Yeah. It's like, it's like Voyager. Like I can watch maybe 2 episodes and then I'm done, right?
Yeah.
Like that's 2 hours and I'm done.
Right. Then you're like,
more than enough Voyager.
Right. That's all I got in me, right?
So, so I don't really have anything else to say about it. Just that it's there and it looks good, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Right, excited for that one. So that'll be good. I'd be curious to see how they wrap, season 4 and 5, how they wrap it up. And then I can't see Netflix putting this to bed permanently. So I'll be curious to see what else they try to do. Like if there's going to be a spinoff show, if there's going to be, like how they're going to keep it going.
Yeah. I've said before, I think you could totally do a spinoff that would make, you have to have it would have to be developed right, but like, there's no reason all of this only has to happen to these characters, right? Like you could, now that they've opened that door, it could be anywhere in the world, and then and that may be one of the reasons they have Hopper over in Russia.
Yeah, right.
Maybe they're looking down that road and saying, okay, well, we need to have, when these guys are done, we need to have other
other
ways into this world, right?
Right. Yeah. I don't know. They did have that one. Was it last season or the season before? Remember, it was that one-off where it was like Eleven's sister was like off doing stuff, and I remember thinking like, all right, this seems like a spinoff, but then nothing else happened with it. Right?
You didn't. Yeah, she. Like it was. Yeah, nothing really happened because of it. It was like she was in those first few episodes, and then that was it.
Right.
But she may come back. Like I kept expecting her to show up at the end of that season, but she never. Yeah. She didn't.
Yeah, I really can't remember much about that now, though. I do remember they did some. I think I read 1 or 2, but I think they did some kind of comic series with her. Or they were trying to pursue, like,
Oh, okay.
So maybe it was a setup for stuff like that. But even I didn't follow through with that. I remember, like I said, I read an episode, an issue or 2, maybe.
Okay.
But I think they've done a video game, or like I think it's like an 8-bit video game or some kind of cheesy like 80s video game of Stranger Things.
Oh, really?
I think they did something like that, but I can't remember where that you play that. If it's on,
it might be online. It might. I don't think it's a console thing. I would have heard about it.
No, right. I think it must be either online or I did get something on Netflix the other day where it's like it has like a row of it's like games on my iPad, and like I guess you can click on the game and play a game on Netflix. I didn't click on it, but
Oh yeah, you know what? I just read today that they're planning on introducing games by the end of the year, right?
okay.
As a way to, because I think they're struggling a little bit now that everybody has a streaming service.
Yes, yeah, they're getting beat up.
Uh,
Yeah.
So I think that's their next move is that they're going to
Okay.
add games, which is
Nah.
it's not a terrible idea.
No, it's smart. I mean, you're already sitting,
Yeah.
90% of the time you're sitting there on your device anyway. So you know what I mean? If you're going to play a game or something, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
And honestly, I think that's why I play games so much anymore, because it's like instead of sitting down at night, we finish dinner, the kids off doing their thing, and
Right.
we're just sitting around, and instead of watching TV, I play,
Right,
rather
yeah.
than I play a game rather than sit there, because with the streaming service, like in the past, like you could put a channel on and just watch that channel all night. It would
Right.
like things would fade in and out. But like with streaming, it's not really like that anymore.
No.
So you just watch like the same show all night.
Yeah.
And so now
And we don't even watch TV. Like the TV, we very rarely even put on. Like literally, Laura and I'll be on the couch together on our iPads.
yeah.
And she'll be watching her show, and I'll be watching my show. And the kids are off on doing what they're
Yeah.
doing, watching their shows, and it's kind of sad in a way. It's just like very every now and then there's something we both like Ozark, so that's coming back soon. So we'll watch that together. But for the most part, we're just doing our own thing.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. So like Bridget usually sits on the couch. I'm playing a game. Bridget's sitting on the couch next to me, and the kids are off,
scattered
somewhere in the house, right?
Yeah,
like
right.
doing their thing.
Exactly. Right.
So
all
right. Well, I think that wraps us up tonight. I don't think we have anything else.
No, I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
All right.
So, so we hope you enjoyed the show tonight, man. I think this was a long one. I wasn't timing it. We really need to time it, but I think it was a long one. But hope you enjoyed it. We went through a lot of stuff. We got all caught up. Keep in mind that we've got a lot of really good stuff coming up. Moon Knight and Picard are tomorrow night, and then Obi Wan Kenobi's next week, and we're getting a whole bunch of stuff in the next few weeks. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, busy time.
Yeah. So hopefully, you'll probably be hearing from us more often.
Yes.
Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed the show. You can follow us we have a YouTube channel, so if you want to watch us in person, you can do that on our YouTube channel. We also have a Twitter account. You can follow us at Geek Hangout Pod, Facebook account. We have an Instagram account, all that stuff. So with that, we will wrap up the show. Thanks for listening, and we will talk to you next time. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for listening.